Welcome to RMU Live. Today is Friday, January 31st, and my name is Brett Magulik.
And I'm Isabella Harris.
To start off our show today, a passenger jet and a Black Hawk helicopter collided mid-air and crashed into a Potomac River near Reagan National Airport near Washington, D.C. this past Wednesday night. At least 40 bodies have been recovered as of yesterday evening. District of Columbia Fire and Emergency Medical Services Chief John Donnelly earlier said that efforts at the scene switched from a rescue operation to a recovery operation. There were 3 soldiers on board the U.S. Army's Sickery H-60 helicopter when the crash took place. Many of the victims have yet to be identified.
American figure skaters as well as Russian Olympians were on board of the passenger plane involved in the crash. The skaters, along with their parents and coaches, were returning from attending the U.S. Figure Skating's National Development Camp following last week's U.S. Championships in Wichita. 2 young athletes, 13-year-old Gina Hahn and 16-year-old Spencer Lane, both extremely talented skaters, were praised by their skating club of Boston as a tremendous loss for the figure skating community. We're going to send it over to reporter Brian Abel to hear more about the details of the impact of this tragedy.
The Skating Club of Boston and other skaters mourning a horrific loss. 14 members of their community were on board the American Airlines flight that collided with a U.S. Army helicopter Wednesday night. Officials say there were no survivors.
The skaters and the people who were on that plane, they're our family too.
The group was returning from a developmental camp for skaters.
We just wanted to be here and be part of our community.
60 passengers and 4 crew members were on the American Airlines flight from Wichita, Kansas, bound for Reagan National Airport in Washington. Just before 9 p.m. Wednesday, that flight was hit by a Black Hawk helicopter, sending both aircraft into the Potomac River. The crash triggering a massive search operation and raising serious questions about what could have gone so wrong.
There was some sort of an elevation issue that we have immediately begun investigating at the DoD and Army level.
The National Transportation Safety Board is leading the investigation, and crews are still working to recover victims.
Our mission is to understand not just what happened, but why it happened, and to recommend changes to prevent it from happening again.
And the NTSB says they hope to have a preliminary report on the crash within 30 days. In Washington, Brian Abel reporting.
The collision on Wednesday was the first fatal commercial airplane crash in the United States since 2009. President Trump briefed the concerns of future flying in the U.S.
President Trump took stand in the White House for the first time since returning to power on Thursday to address the events of the crash on Wednesday. The 47th president wasted no time playing the blame game for this tragedy. Shortly after he declared there were no survivors from the crash, he pointed the finger at his old political rivals, suggesting diversity initiatives and lax aviation. He also blamed former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, saying, quote, do you know how badly everything's run since the Department of Transportation? He's a disaster. He's a disaster as a mayor. He ran his city to the ground. And now he's just a good line of BS, end quote.
The Trump administration hearings have been in full swing this week as Trump nominees Kash Patel for FBI Director, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for Health and Human Services Secretary, and Tulsi Gabbard for National Intelligence Director all were pressed by senators on their hearings early Thursday afternoon.
Continuing with the stories of the president, Trump also promised to do a lot right from the start if he was elected, and he certainly did that. During his first week in office, the president signed dozens of executive orders affecting everything from immigration, climate change, and oil exportation to health and medical research, as well as eliminating federal diversity programs, directives regarding gender, and much, much more. Some of the executive orders will have immediate impact, while others, like his attempt to get rid of birthright citizenship to people born in the U.S. to parents without legal citizenship, will be challenged by courts. In the president's executive action flurry since the return to office, he signed 2 orders on school funding on Wednesday that fulfill more promises he made during his campaign, including school choice and ending for funding schools for what White House calls, quote, radical indoctrination. The orders on school choice, an issue that Trump's been pushing for 8 years, could be a huge win for conservative activists and politicians who have been advocating for decades to make it easier on families to spend taxpayer funds on private education. Many politicians and political figures have spoken out on the outrage that the Trump administration's decision to freeze federal grants and loans. Sherelle Hubbard has more on this story.
It will not stand. It cannot stand.
Former vice presidential candidate and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz fired up over the Trump administration's freeze on all federal grants and loans.
It's an outrageous power grab.
The move potentially impacting trillions of dollars in government spending and public programs serving millions of Americans. The new White House press secretary defending the freeze.
It means no more funding for illegal DEI programs, for the Green New scam, for transgenderism and wokeness.
The administration later tried to clarify, saying there would be, quote, zero impact on programs like Social Security and Medicare.
Donald Trump's administration is lying to you. The White House's attempt to walk back what they did today does not match what we saw on the ground.
But Illinois' governor was just one of many who reported being unable to access federal Medicaid funds on Tuesday. Lawmakers say the freeze could set the stage for a showdown at the highest court.
It's illegal. It's unconstitutional.
The judge said the pause will preserve the status quo while she considers the challenge to the freeze plan. She's expected to issue a more permanent decision on Monday.
I have a lot of questions because not one damn person thought this through.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
Colleges, students, and parents are in a tough spot regarding this decision. More information is still to come.
The ongoing immigration crisis. What are the new challenges emerging at the border and how lawmakers are responding? Plus a major development in the Middle East. Gaza releases more hostages, but what does that mean for the future of the conflict? Coming up next on RMU Live.
It's been difficult because I hadn't been able to see my grandchildren.
I can't wait to get back to field trips with my school.
Not having to think about putting on a mask.
I really can't wait to get back to life, really.
I miss all my friends. I miss taking pictures in school.
An expression on someone's face when you do something nice for them.
COVID-19 vaccines are available, and they're the first step to safely getting back to things we miss most. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision about COVID-19 vaccines.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 30 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people.
It's time to make an informed decision about COVID-19 vaccines. The dangerous new Delta variant is more than twice as contagious as the original virus and can affect anyone. Right now, 9 out of 10 hospitalizations and deaths from COVID are among unvaccinated people. Getting vaccinated might save your life, and there's now an option that's fully approved by the FDA. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org.
Honorary Forest Ranger Betty White here, lending a hand to my dear friend Smokey Bear, because for years he's only said,
only you can prevent wildfires.
But there's a lot more to say, like if you park your car on tall, dry grass, the hot exhaust pipe can start a wildfire. So keep the animals safe, especially the cute shirtless one. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Welcome back to RMU Live. Let's get into some more news around the U.S. and the world. President Trump has signed an executive order to roll back diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, the federal government, and push private companies to do the same. The order claims DEI programs violate civil rights laws by giving preference based on race or gender. While experts say the administration can't force private businesses to change, the threat of legal action could pressure companies to reconsider their DEI efforts. Many are wondering how this will affect organizations that have already invested in such programs.
ICE agents now have a quota of 75 arrests per day. Reporter Amy Kiley has more on the story.
If you're here illegally, if you broke our laws, then you're going to be targeted.
Across the U.S. and beyond its borders, President Donald Trump is cracking down on illegal immigration. ICE reports almost 1,000 arrests and more than 500 detainers yesterday. Those numbers are from at least Metro Atlanta, Puerto Rico, Colorado, L.A., Austin, and Chicago. They follow news that ICE agents now have a quota of 75 arrests per day. Other federal agencies are helping find undocumented immigrants. The border czar says violent criminals were the targets of a Chicago blitz. The Illinois governor says he'd be fine if it had stopped there, but he says authorities also went after people whose only crime was entering the U.S. illegally.
They're going after people who are law-abiding, who are holding down jobs, who have families here, who may have been here for a decade or 2 decades, and they're often our neighbors and our friends.
Meanwhile, a feud between Trump and Colombia's president might be dying down. Colombia says it's resuming acceptance of U.S. deportation flights. That's after its refusal to accept 2 of them led to both countries' leaders threatening hikes on tariffs. Some analysts worry such increases would force Americans to pay higher prices for certain goods.
The only way that Donald Trump knows how to, quote, lead is by acting like a bully.
He's putting the rest of this hemisphere on notice that you are not dealing with the same president that you were.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
President Trump is continuing his stance on U.S. deportation flights. President Donald Trump's poll ratings indicate that 46% of Americans approve of the job that he's done so far, with 43 disapproving of his performance. This is the results of 2 weeks of him holding office.
Moving out of the U.S. and taking a trip over to Gaza, 8 hostages, 3 Israeli and 3 Thai nations were released from captivity in Gaza on Thursday. During this current phase of the ceasefire and hostage release deal, a total of 33 Israeli hostages taken captive by Hamas and other armed groups in the October 7 attacks are supposed to be free. Israel is expected to make a release around 2,000 Palestinian prisoners in turn.
These are the chaotic final moments of Israeli hostage Arbel Yehoud's 15 months in captivity. Flanked by masked militants, the 29-year-old appears terrified as she is hustled through a raucous crowd in Gaza's southern city of Khan Yunis. Red Cross vehicles and her freedom are just steps away. In Tel Aviv's Hostage Square, Israelis watch with dreaded anticipation as the scene unfolds live on television. Minutes later, Yehoud is handed over to Red Cross officials. Gadi Moses is next. Amid a sea of militants wearing the green and yellow bandanas of Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad, the 80-year-old hostage is handed over to the Red Cross. The Israeli Prime Minister condemning the chaotic scene, calling it yet more proof of the unimaginable cruelty of the Hamas terrorist organization, demanding that the mediators ensure that such horrific scenes do not recur. In response, the Prime Minister delaying the release of 110 Palestinian prisoners, driving Palestinian youths into the streets. Amid clashes, at least 3 Palestinians are shot by Israeli forces, according to the Palestine Red Crescent. Hours later, the buses emerge from Ofer prison. Of the 110 prisoners being released, 32 were serving life sentences, including several responsible for deadly attacks on Israeli civilians. 30 children were also released. They had all been arrested in the last 2 years, some held without charge, none convicted of a crime. In Israel, emotional reunions as 3 Israelis held hostage by Hamas, including the Israeli soldier Agam Berger, were reunited with their families. 5 Thai hostages were also released, freed in addition to the 33 Israeli hostages being released during the 6-week ceasefire. President Trump's Middle East envoy also making an appearance at Hostage Square.
President Trump is committed to doing everything possible to help the families.
Indicating one of 2 Americans set to be released in the coming weeks, will be freed on Saturday. Jeremy Diamond, CNN, Tel Aviv.
Thank you for that coverage. Colombia had initially denied President Trump's deportees into their country. Trump then retaliated in resulting with Colombia stating on Sunday evening that they had agreed to, quote, all of President Trump's terms and including the unrestricted acceptance, end quote. These, whom are immigrants, have entered the U.S. illegally. The 2 U.S. military planes carrying deportees were originally blocked from entering the country. Looking for the latest news, sports, and entertainment? Don't miss out on RMU-TV. Stay informed, stay engaged, and catch all the action only on RMU-TV. Tune in and stay connected.
Big changes are on the way. Rain and warmer weather is set to shake up our forecast. Will it impact your weekend plans? Plus, RMU sports are heating up. Can the Colonials keep their winning streak alive? Stay tuned for the latest, all next.
Bring it. Time out, guys. I'm late to dinner. My mom's gonna kill me. Catch you guys later.
Mom wants us home. Okay. Bye, guys.
You guys need a ride?
Sure. Yeah. All right. How about some one-on-one? I gotta go eat, man. Sorry, I'll see you later.
Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
Welcome back to RMU Live. This past month's weather has been one for the history books. We're going to send it over to Mintos to hear what we can expect for the first week of February.
Thank you, Isabella. So for today's forecast, we have a high of 53 and a low of 30 degrees with a 90% chance of humidity and an 80% chance of precipitation. Now that it's raining more than ever, know that we'll still be together and you can stand under my umbrella. For tomorrow, we have a high of 35, a low of 25, and a humidity of 53% with a 5% chance of precipitation. If we go on to the 5-day weather forecasts, we have for Sunday, we have a high of 47, a low of 42. For Monday, we have a high of 57, a low of 33. For Tuesday, we have a high of 42, a low of 31. And then if we go over to Wednesday, we have a high of 42, a low of 37. And then on to Thursday, we'll have a high of 48 and a low of 32. Now back to the desk.
Thanks, Mintos. Make sure to have your raincoats handy this week. There is a new lawsuit in California from electrical lines sparking that led to several fires in the surrounding areas. Reporter Sherelle Hubbard has more on the story.
Newly released surveillance video from a gas station captured what a new lawsuit claims is the start of the deadly Eaton fire. The video allegedly shows sparking power lines, sparks falling to the ground, and eventually fire crews heading towards a full-blown active fire. The video is obtained by law firm Edelson PC. They They're representing an Altadena woman whose home was destroyed in the fire.
Now that we have that video, now that we see what is unequivocally arcing at the very origin of this fire, we know that their equipment was involved in this.
Southern California Edison, or SCE, the utility company named in the lawsuit, has repeatedly denied their equipment started the fire.
We are committed to working with local investigators and finding out, what happened.
Holy!
More videos emerging of a transmission tower in Eaton Canyon on fire, the alleged origin of the wildfire. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump has filed 3 wrongful death lawsuits against SCE, alleging despite days of dangerously high winds, the company didn't de-energize power lines. On Monday, advocacy group LA Fire Justice said they have evidence that traces back to the fire's ignition point.
In Southern California, Edison's utility equipment was the source of the fire.
The official cause of the fire remains under investigation. I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
The fire lawsuit is still currently an ongoing investigation.
Bobby Moe basketball is heating up, just like the weather. Let's head over to Peyton to talk more about some Colonial sports.
Thanks, guys. The RMU women's basketball team is on fire, extending their winning streak to 4 games with a dominant 74-53 win over Wright State. Maya Murray led all scorers with 16 points, while Caitlin Chumko and Isis Grady each hit double digits. The Colonials are looking to make it 5 in a row as they face Purdue-Fort Wayne tonight at 7 p.m. in the UPMC Event Center. Meanwhile, RMU men's basketball crushed IU Indy with a staggering 106-53 victory. The Colonials dominated from start to finish, putting up 55 points in the first half alone. The top scorer was Amarion Dickerson with 18 buckets and 6 rebounds. Their record now stands at 16-7 overall and 8-4 in the Horizon League play. This is their 6th straight win in the conference. Moving from the hardwood to the ice, RMU men's hockey is set to close out their homestand with a 2-game series against Mercyhurst. The Colonials are coming off a tough 4-2 loss against Canisius, but standout performances from Walter Zacher and Trevor Ladon keep them competitive. Mercyhurst, however, is struggling, sitting at the bottom of the AHA standings without a road win this season. Looking ahead, RMU women's basketball will hit the road to face Milwaukee next Thursday, while men's hockey heads to Bentley for a weekend series. That's all for Colonial Sports this week, sending it right back to Brett and Isabella.
Thanks, Peyton. Looking forward to see the Colonials heater continue. Is your New Year's resolution to be more active and involved on campus? Don't worry, RMU Century Media's got you covered with the most up-to-date news, sports, and entertainment. Check out RMUCenturyMedia.com for the latest articles, photo galleries, movie reviews, and more.
A major health shift. Experts are now saying children should steer clear of caffeine altogether. What's behind the new recommendation and how it could impact your family's daily routine? Coming up next on RMU Live.
Every day,
Millions of people are connecting
and even though we're overcoming obstacles,
watching each other's backs,
and banding together.
we should still make an effort.
We should still make an effort.
to get to know each other,
On a deeper level.
Father,
cosplayer,
Mentor.
actor.
it's time we take a step forward
It's time we take a step forward.
Come together
and discover
How accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
Yeah! Sam, Elmo!
Oh, hey, Julia. You ready to play band with us? I'm gonna play my clarinet.
And Elmo's gonna play his drum. Drum loud.
Oh, well, you know what to do, Julia.
Julia knows.
With Julia's autism, loud sounds can be too much.
But she still loves to make music. Play band.
Early screening for autism can make a lifetime of difference. Find out more at screenforautism.org.
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Can I get the Nauber, please?
$1.
Have a good one. Got it.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey,
Let me get a now bar.
Sure. $1.
Appreciate you.
You got it.
Welcome back to RMU Live. Let's get into some more news. For the first time in over 2 decades, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration signed off on a new type of pain reliever on Thursday. The drug, suzetrigine, is a 50 milligram prescription pill that is taken every 12 hours after a larger starter dose. It will be sold under the name Gervanix. Parents, you might want to think twice about handing your kids that soda or iced coffee. A new study is sending a strong warning about caffeine consumption in children. Why experts say it could be doing more harm than you think. Let's take a look more.
The idea is nothing new. Concern over caffeine and added sugars in drinks has been around for a while, but some of the top health organizations have released new guidelines aimed at helping children and teens be healthier.
The reality is there's a lot of items, a lot of beverages out there, like a lot of things, are promoted as healthy, and there's no evidence that they are.
Dr. Stephen Cook with Nationwide Children's Hospital says the hope is that with these well-known organizations joining together to greenlight new beverage recommendations, it'll make it less confusing and therefore easier for parents to know what to allow and what to avoid.
What are the healthier options? And understanding how we're kind of almost being manipulated to indulge in things that really aren't healthy for us at all.
The guidelines say those ages 5 through 18 should drink plain water and plain pasteurized milk daily, the amount of which depends on factors like age, size, and physical activity. They should avoid drinks with caffeine and other stimulants, sugared beverages, and those with non-sugar sweeteners as well. The experts say to also limit 100% juice, plant-based milk alternatives, unless there's a specific medical reason to drink it, and flavored milk.
We don't want to create a restrictive type of response list, like you never can have this. It's a once in a while type of opportunity, and once in a while isn't one a day per se. Maybe it's once a week or once every other week.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Doctors suggest allowing your kids to indulge once a week and drink more water. Thank you, reporter Mandy Gaither, for this story.
Baltimore Ravens kicker Jason Tucker is currently being accused of inappropriate behavior with 6 massage therapists at 4 different spas in Baltimore area. The 35-year-old NFL player is being accused of exposing himself to all the masseuses. Tucker is married with a son and denied all accusations being claimed against his behavior in a statement on X. The NFL stated they take all allegations seriously and that they are carefully looking into this matter.
Moving from the field to the court, basketball star Dwayne Wade revealed on Thursday that he was diagnosed with cancer a little over a year ago. A lost part of his kidney as a result. The former Chicago Bulls and Miami Heat guard revealed that he needed kidney surgery in late December of 2023 and found out that the tumor he had was cancerous. Wade has now made it a point that he's living in a different lifestyle and living life to the fullest post-surgery. Thank you for watching.
Groundhog's Day is this weekend, and RMU Century Media will be covering the full thing. Tune in next week on RMU Live.